In today's video, we will be taking a look at another hypothetical 2024 presidential election matchup between Joe Biden and Mike Pence. Now first, for some context. Pence 2 days ago has just filed paperwork to run for the presidency of the United States, setting up a heated GOP primary battle between Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, and Mike Pence, the vice president that served under Donald Trump. And this will be quite an interesting race to watch. Now, Pence definitely will not win the GOP nomination. He doesn't have any shot at all, and really, he is polling in single digits. Nonetheless, I still thought this would be an interesting matchup to look and to really explore. Now, first off, Mike Pence's likely states because he is behind on electoral votes. Alaska and South Carolina, two of the very conservative states. These are not states I expect him to win by a safe margin. I think he'll win both of these states by around 10 to 12 points. Nonetheless, these are very much solidly in the Republican column. Next is Texas. Although I don't think he's going to do as well as Trump in some of the rural areas, I think he'll still do pretty well in some of the suburban areas, giving him a win by around 7 percentage points. I also think Florida will be a likely Republican state, and I don't think this will be one of his strengths. Nonetheless, I do think that pretty much most Republicans, will be able to win the state by a likely margin, considering how red the state has trended by in recent elections. Now, notably, I don't think Iowa and Ohio will be likely Republican states. I'll get to those states in a bit. Now let's go to likely Joe Biden states, Colorado and New Mexico. Now these are two states that are pretty different demographic-wise. Colorado has a lot of more white voters, while New Mexico has some more Hispanic voters, and these two states don't have really similar politics. Colorado is more progressive, New Mexico is more generic Democrat. Nonetheless, these two states typically vote for Democrats by around 10 to 12 points, and I do think that both of these states will vote for Democrats by around 10 points in the case of New Mexico and 12 points in the state of Colorado for the Democratic Party. The state of Virginia as well, trending blue, especially in some of the Washington, D.C. suburbs. I do think Democrats are going to be favored in the state of Virginia against pretty much any opponent. Now, finally, for the state of Maine, I do believe this will be a likely Democratic state. Not much of a surprise. Biden won the state by 9 in 2020, so I think he should be able to win by a similar margin in 2024, should this matchup actually happen. Now, the final states on our map is probably going to be lean or tilt for either party, so I'm going to get right into each of these states. First off, for the state of Nevada. Now, Biden won the state by 2.4% in 2020. Or by around 35,000 votes against Donald Trump. Now, I don't think Mike Pence will do very well in the state. He needs to do either well in counties like Clark or Washoe, or he needs to do well in the rural areas. And I don't think he has much of appeal among the GOP base in some of these rural counties, and I don't see how he can do well in urban areas like Las Vegas. Overall, I think he is just a more poor quality candidate, and he would be at best a BC candidate. So at the end of the day, I think Democrats should be able to win the state of Nevada. Now for Arizona. Now, Arizona voters could actually vote for him. The thing being that, again, I think Democrats won't be able to do as well with a more moderate GOP candidate in areas like Phoenix or Maricopa County or Pima County. I think Mike Pence may give a more generic Republican type of vibe, and that could help in a state like Arizona for the GOP, and thus this could be a tilt state for Mike Pence. I think a similar story can be said in the state of Georgia. I think black turnout was crucial in the state of Georgia to end up having a narrow Democratic victory for Joe Biden by just around 12,000 votes against Donald Trump. Now, this was a very narrow win. It was 0.23%. And I think Democrats won't have as large of a turnout. If we look at the shift from 2016 in Atlanta, you can see that counties like Cobb County, Rockdale County, Gwinnett County, or Forsyth County even trended to Democrats by double digits. I think those counties could still potentially trend to Democrats more in the future. Nonetheless, I think turnout will be lower as many black voters are unsatisfied with the Democratic Party, and specifically Joe Biden for not passing more civil rights legislation, and as a result, there could be lower black voter turnout, and as a result, Mike Pence could end up actually winning the state of Georgia. I think for North Carolina, Pence won't do too well, but I think he should still be able to win. At the end of the day, North Carolina, although a very much competitive state on every single presidential election, typically votes for the GOP, except on the governor's level with Roy Cooper. I think Pence wouldn't be able to do very well in some of these rural counties or some of these rural black areas, but I think he can make some inroads in urban areas and just to turn off some Democrats from voting the quote-unquote anti-Trump vote, and I think that would be enough for him to nearly carry the state of North Carolina. Now for Iowa and Ohio. Now these states will definitely be closer under Mike Pence. For one, he doesn't have the working class appeal like Trump had. He did very, very well in some of these counties, some of these rural working class counties, and that they voted for him by overwhelming margins. Mike Pence simply does not have that appeal. Nonetheless, because both of these states have consolidated so much for the GOP, I think Mike Pence should be able to still win both of these states. And I think that really some of these areas like Lorain County, Lake County, Trumbull County, or Mahoning County, these are counties that could revert back to Democrats if someone like Mike Pence was the nominee. Nonetheless, I think he should be able to win both of these states, thus bring Mike Pence to 261 electoral votes. However, he definitely would not fare anywhere close to well in the Rust Belt states. For one, Minnesota definitely will be a state that could go likely for Joe Biden. I think he really doesn't have any appeal whatsoever in a state like Minnesota, where Trump was already lost by 7 points. And I think Mike Pence will definitely turn out a lot of the Republicans in some of the rural areas, and that is pretty much where the only Republican votes are coming from. If you turn off these rural voters, you're pretty much not going to get any votes for yourself, and definitely Mike Pence is going to lose the state. He's also going to lose a state like Wisconsin, for instance. Trump was able to do very well in some of the working class areas. If you look at the shifts, many of these counties did shift towards the GOP. And although he might be able to do decently in some of the Milwaukee suburbs, or commonly called the WOW counties, such as Waukesha, Washington, and Ozaukee counties, at the end of the day, that's not going to be enough. He's going to do super poorly in some of these rural counties, and I think the state will be a lean state for the Democratic Party. Similar story in the state of Michigan. It's going to be a very poor job by Mike Pence. He's not going to do well in counties like Macomb County. He's not going to do well in much of the rural areas. Sure, he might be able to make inroads in a county like Kent or around the Oakland County region. Nonetheless, that definitely would not be enough for him to win the state. And a similar story in the state of Pennsylvania at the end of the day. These are states that are pretty similar. I think Joe Biden should be able to win the state of Pennsylvania. Very simply speaking, Mike Pence may be able to do decently in a county like Bucks, Montgomery, or Chester, but he pretty much cannot do well in some of the rural areas, and really not energize the Republican base, not get Republicans to turn out for him, and because he is just more of a quote-unquote boring candidate. And overall, I just don't think that he can win a state like Pennsylvania. And finally, New Hampshire. New Hampshire did go for Democrats by around 7 points. Thus, I think Democrats definitely are up, and they'll probably win by around 5 points in the state of New Hampshire. Now from Nebraska 2nd District, redistricting has made this district slightly redder, but I don't think Mike Pence is a candidate that could end up flipping the district, so definitely goes to Democratic Party. Now for finally Maine 2nd District, I think Republicans still slightly favored because Trump did win the district by 8. At the end of the day, it's going to cause a lot of voters to end up actually reversing that, so I'm going to give it to Mike Pence by lean margins. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.